this video, we are going to discuss about 8051 timers, its registers and its various fields. Okay, so we'll be discussing about the two timers of 8051 and how its structure is, what are the various registers that we use for controlling the timers and its operation and its mode and everything. Okay, so what is actually a timer? Timer is a specialized type of clock which is used to measure the timing intervals. So in order to measure a time interval or a time period, we use a timer. Now, what is a counter? The counter is a device which is used to store the number of time a particular event has occurred. That is, it is actually used to store the count, how many times this thing is happening or this event is happening. In order to count that, we use a counter. Okay, so that is the difference between the timer and the counter. Now, 8051 has two timers which can also function as counters. Okay, so it's a timer cum counter, both timer 0 and timer 1. So in 8051, we refer the timers as timer 0 and timer 1. Both are of 16-bit size. There is a 16-bit register for each of it in order to store the timing values. Based on this register's count, the time varies and the count varies since it functions as a counter also. Okay, so 8051 has two 16-bit timers, timer 0 and timer 1. Okay, so I'm telling it once again, they can also be used as counters. So they are timer cum counters. And this 16-bit can be accessed as two 8-bits. So I've not drawn the entire fields here. I've drawn only the initial D0 to D7. This is for the timer 0. This is the lower byte. And this is the higher byte, D8 to D15. So 8, 8. Okay. Likewise, you can access the timers. So in order to start the timers programmatically also, we are loading some value to TL0 and TH0. This TL0 means timer 0 low byte. This is timer 0 high byte. H represent high. 0 represent timer 0. Similarly for timer 1, there is a timer TL1 is there. That is timer 1 low byte and timer 1 high byte. Okay, so I forgot to write here. This is TH1. Okay. D0 to D7 is TL1, that is lower byte, and D8 to D15 is higher byte. So you can access the bytes is separate. Now we're going to see about the T mode register, which is actually used to control the mode of the two timers and also various other functionalities. Next, we are going to see about the T mode register. So the T mode register is actually used for selecting or setting the mode of the timers. Not just one timer, both the timers. Okay, so this T mode register consists of 8 bits. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right? Total 8 bits are there. Higher 4 bits are for timer 1 and lower 4 bits are for timer 0. Okay, I have written it very specifically. Higher 4 bits is used for controlling the functionalities and mode and everything for timer 1. And this lower 4 bits is for timer 0. Now, if you see the ordering of the bits, you can see M1, M0, M1 is there. These M0 and M1 are used for selecting the modes. How are the modes varying? We'll see nextly. Anyway, just know that this is used for selecting the various modes of the timer 0 and also for timer 1 there is M1 and M0. And there is a field called C by T for timer 0 portion and also for timer 1 portion there is a field called C by T. That is a bit. So this C by T bit, if it is 1, means this will function as a counter. If it is 0, means it will function as a timer. So counter bar timer select. In order to set whether it is a timer or a counter, we use this field. So this field is there for timer 1 and also for timer 0. So if this field for timer 1 is 1, means it now functions as a counter. If it is 0, it functions as a timer. Next. There are two fields, again, gate. One for timer 0 and one for timer 1. So this field, 4 bits are identical for this timer 0 and for timer 1. Replica are there. Okay. So if gate is equal to 1 means we can start and stop the timer by hardware. So timer is actually a hardware component, right? So you can start it and stop it by hardware control if gate is equal to 1. Only by hardware control you can start and stop. But if gate is equal to 0 means you can start and stop the timer by programmatical method also. Okay. So that is the software start and stop is possible if gate is equal to 0. But if gate is set as 1, only hardware start and stop is possible. That is, only by hardware control we can start and stop these timers, both timer 0 and timer 1. That is the significance of the gate bit or the gate field. Okay, next we are going to see various modes of the timers. Next, we are going to see about the various modes of the timers based on the mode select bits. Okay, so there are two, it is not M1 and M2, M0 and M1. Okay. Now, based on this mode select bits, right, there are 4 modes, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0 and 1, 1. Okay, so 0, 0, we call it as mode 0 and that is the 13-bit timer mode. Now, what is a 13-bit timer mode? We know that if you see a timer, let it be timer 0 or timer 1. Any timer is a 16-bit timer. So, there is a D0 here and there is a D7. This we call as the lower byte. Then D8 is there till D15. This we call as a higher byte. Now, when we use mode 0, means it is a 13-bit timer mode, means not entire 16 bits are now used. Okay, only 13 bits of this total 16 bit. Total there is 16 bits of this timer. Out of this we are using only 13 bits. Now how this we are using is, we will use the entire higher byte and out of this lower we will use only 5 bits. Okay, so 8 plus 5 equal to 13. Likewise we will be using. Okay, so that is the concept of a 13-bit timer mode. That is the mode 0. Then for mode 1, 0 and 1 will give the bits for M0 and M1 and it is a 16-bit timer mode, which is normal total 16 bits will be using. That is a 16-bit timer mode, which is a mode 1. Then mode 2 means 8-bit auto reload. Okay, next one is mode 2, which is M0 is 1, M1 is 0 and it is 8-bit auto reload. So for a timer, can be timer 0 or timer 1, there is, let it be timer 0. Okay, so there is a TL0 and TH0. Now when the timing, there is a minimum value for the timer and the maximum value, that the timing maximum value up to which the timer will run and after that it will get overflowed, right? So when we are running the timer in mode 2, which is in the 8-bit auto reload mode, what happens is that during the overflow of timer lower byte, it will get automatically reloaded with the value present in the higher byte. Okay, so that is the concept. I'll explain it once again. Mode 2 is called 8-bit auto reload. The 8 bits are getting auto reloaded with the other 8 bits. Okay, that is, consider that I'm taking a timer 0. You can take timer 0 or timer 1. Both has same modes. That is, both has same, these 4 modes same only for various mode selects, right? So when we are using a timer 0, the timer 0 has a lower byte and a higher byte. Okay, so what happens when the maximum timing value is reached, the timer will get overflowed. When the timer is overflowing and when the timer is set to mode 2, what happens is that when TL0 is getting overflowed, it will be automatically reloaded with TH0. We don't need to reload it again. Okay, so normally when timers is overflowed, it has to be reloaded. But when it is in mode 2, it will, TL0 will get reloaded with the value present in TH0. Same for timer 1 also, TL1 and TH1. Okay, so that is called 8-bit auto reload mode. And mode 3 is called split mode or split timer mode. Here, these 2 bytes will act as 2 separate timers of each 8-bit. Okay, that is a concept. Okay, so these are the various modes for a 8051 timers. Both the timers have these 4 modes. Okay, timer 0 and timer 1 follows these 4 modes based on the mode select bits assigned. Next, we are going to discuss about T-code register or timer control register. So these are the various fields used for controlling the starting of the timers, overflow of the timers, so various such functionalities. Not to programmatically control, we use a T-code register. Okay, so we'll see various fields starting from this side. You can see here 1 and 0. Ones corresponds to the timer 1 fields and zeros corresponds to the timer 0 fields. Same functionality for both the timers. That's why we differentiate using ones and zeros. Okay. So we'll start from TF1. TF1 is timer 1 overflow flag. Now if TF1 is timer 1 overflow flag, what will be TF0? TF0 is timer 0 overflow flag. Okay, so study these things in a connected way. It is easy to remember. TF1 is timer 1 overflow flag. TF0 is timer 0 overflow flag. So we are going to discuss about these two fields now. Okay, TF1 and TF0. Now when TF1 or TF0, if this field is set to 0, means timer 1 or timer 0 corresponding to a TF1 and TF0. If any of these fields is 0, means the corresponding timer overflow has not occurred. Okay. And if it is 1, means very simple, overflow has occurred. I hope it is clear. That is, if TF1 is 1, means timer 1 has overflowed. If TF0 is 1, means timer 0 has overflowed. If these two fields are 0, means these two timers has not undergone overflow. Okay, so that is the TF1 and TF0 fields. Okay, I hope it is clear. So we have discussed about these two fields. Next field is TR1 and TR0. That is the field we are going to discuss. Okay. TR1 and TR0 corresponding to timer 1 and timer 0. So this TR1 and TR0 is, TR1 is timer 1 run control bit and TR0 is timer 0 run control bit. Or so you can generalize it as timer run control bit. Okay. So if TR1 is 1, means in order to start the timer start, and if it is 0, means timer stop. Okay, so in order to stop the timer, we are using 0 in that field. If it is 1, means we are going to start the timer. So these fields, that is TR1 and TR0, is set and cleared programmatically. Okay, but for these fields, that is TF1 and TF0, which is indicating the overflow condition, that is set by the hardware and cleared by the software. So these terms we often hear while discussing these registers. What is this? What does this mean? See, timer is a hardware component. So when it runs and when it undergo overflow condition, that is actually a hardware condition happening. So it is set by the hardware, but we can programmatically clear that, or we can programmatically change that condition. So that's why we say set by hardware and cleared by software. Okay, but here TR1 and TR0, this field is set. There is also, we can set it and we can clear it. That is, we can start and stop. So it is set and cleared by the software. Okay, so it is actually used to start the timer and stop the timer programmatically. Okay, so that is TR1 and TR0 for starting and stopping of timer 1 and for starting and stopping of timer 0. I hope it is clear. Next field, we are going to discuss about some interrupts nextly. So next field is IE1 field, right? So IE1 is external interrupt fields. Okay, we are going to discuss about IE1 and IE0 now. IE1 and IE0. So this is external interrupt edge flag. Edge flag it is. Okay. So there are two external interrupts. If you have seen the interrupt video, you may be knowing that there are two external interrupts, INT0 and INT1, right? So these are the two external interrupts. Now IE1 is for external interrupt 1 and IE0 is for external interrupt 0. So this is the external interrupt 0, this is the external interrupt 1, right? So these two fields corresponds to IE1 corresponds to external interrupt 1 and IE0 corresponds to external interrupt 0. Now if these fields 1 and 0 is set, what are the conditions? Let's see. So if IE1 or IE0 equal to 1 means the corresponding external interrupt has occurred. Okay, so interrupt has occurred. If it is 0 means the external interrupt has processed. We have processed that external interrupt. The occurrence has been serviced or it is processed. Okay. So there are two external interrupts, and if any of these fields are 1 means the corresponding interrupt. If it is IE1 means the external interrupt 1 has occurred if 1 is present. If this field is 0 means external interrupt 1 is processed. Similarly for IE0 also. Okay, so that is for two external interrupts. Okay, I hope these two fields are now clear. Next is IT1 and IT0. Now what are IT1 and IT0? Now IT1 and IT0 are external interrupt 1 and 0 trigger type select. Okay, we'll discuss about that separately. Okay, IT1 we'll discuss. So it is external interrupt 1 trigger type select. IT1 is used for selecting the external interrupt 1 trigger type. So this interrupts can be triggered either using edge triggering or level triggering. Okay, so there are edge triggering based on the edges of the signal and also level. Okay, high level or low level. That are two type of triggering. The interrupts can be triggered using either edge triggering method or level triggering method. So is it a level triggering interrupt or a edge triggering interrupt is set using this IT1 field. Okay, so first we are going to discuss about IT1, which is used for selecting the trigger type of the external interrupt 1, which is INT1. Now if this field is set as 1 means it is a edge triggering interrupt. Okay, edge triggered, and if it is 0 means it is level triggered. I hope it is clear. Both low conditions, okay, low edge and also low level. Okay, so sorry, this is high level, this is low level. Okay, that is INT1 pin, if it is 1 means if there is a low edge trigger signal coming to this INT1 pin, then the external interrupt 1 is getting activated or it is triggered. If the IT1 pin is 0 means this interrupt is actually a level triggered interrupt. Only if there is a low level signal or a low level signal coming to this pin, the INT1 interrupt is getting activated. Okay, so that is the importance of this IT1 pin. Similarly, IT0, if this is IT0, then it is used for selecting the trigger type of interrupt, that is external interrupt 0. So there are two external interrupts, INT0 and INT1. So for selecting its trigger signal type, whether it is edge triggered or whether it is level triggered, we are using these two pins, IT1 and IT0. So if IT0 bit field or IT0 bit is 1, means INT0, that is external interrupt 0, is a edge triggered interrupt. Only if there is a falling edge, it will get activated. And if IT0 is 0, the bit position is 0, means this external interrupt 0 is a level triggered interrupt, means only if there is a low level signal at this pin. We know that interrupts, external interrupts or interrupts are external activities coming to the microcontroller. So they are activated using some pins assigned for them. So only if there is a corresponding signal on that pin, it will get activated. So if it is 0, means, that is if IT0 is 0, this interrupt is a level triggered interrupt, and only if there is a low level signal coming to this pin, this external interrupt 0 is getting activated. That is the importance of IT0 and IT1. I hope it is clear. So these are the various fields of the TCON register. I think IT1 and IT0 are little bit complex to understand. Other fields are very easy to understand and study. Okay. So this is the TCON register, which is actually used for controlling the various activities and properties of the timers. Both the timers, timer 0 and timer 1. So the bits are assigned its names according to this timer 0 and timer 1. For timer 0, it will be correspondingly there is 0 given, and for timer 1, 1 is given. Okay, so you can distinguish and study. And also while studying, just connect these bits and study. For 1 and 0, for example, if it is TF1, study TF0 because same functionality for two timers. Okay, just name is different. Okay, so that are the various fields of TCON register. So that is all about the timers of 8051. I really hope you understood the concepts. And in order to study more, we'll be doing some programming examples also later. Okay, so if you found this video useful, please do share this video with maximum of your friends. And if you found it useful, please do give it a thumbs up. And if you want more videos, please do subscribe to the channel. And you can find the notes on the Facebook page. As I'm saying along with all the videos, please do follow the page also for finding the notes. Okay, so that's it. Thanks for watching and keep on watching.